Ciao, welcome back fellow travellers. We are still here in virtual Italy, and as I promised you, we have Zabaglione. Now this is one of my favourite desserts. It's very Italian, very delicious and very alcoholic. It is made with raw egg yolks, so no having this if you're pregnant, and also masala, which is lovely um, dessert wine, it describes it as. I think it's a little fortified as well. Anyway, delicious stuff. There is a lot of whisking involved, but as I noted in the other video, the trick is to put a little bit of corn flour in there. Thank you, Delia. And then it will thicken up a lot more quickly. And of course, an electric whisk is always a good thing to have. So that's me sorted for dessert and presumably needing to sober up for the rest of the afternoon. But we have other stuff to do because Augustus has told me that he wants me to tell you all about Roman food. So I'm going to go away and do a little bit of research on that and collect some information for you, and I shall be back soon. In the meantime, there are photos and things on my blog. And please, if you can, donate to Help 125. Ciao everyone, and welcome back to Virtual Italy for the last time in this particular visit. And in this section, Augustus and I would like to tell you all about Roman food. Now, Augustus, of course, will eat any large piece of meat that you put in front of him because he's a lion. But the Romans used to eat food very much like ours, with one or two rather strange exceptions. Now, just like us, they would eat bread. In fact, in Pompeii, there is a fresco of a baker's shop, and archaeologists have found a fossilized loaf of bread that looks exactly like the loaves in that painting. So we know very much not only that Romans ate bread, but we know what their loaves looked like. They also ate vegetables, of course. They would grow all the same sort of vegetables that we have, with just a few exceptions. There were no potatoes and there were no tomatoes, because those two were both brought in from Peru. And that, of course, wouldn't be available for hundreds of years. They also ate meat. They didn't farm cows in the same way that we did, but they ate a lot of game. They would eat venison, they would eat wild boar, they would chase down any sort of bird they could find. And of course, they had the whole of the empire to do that. So they would eat things like ostrich, for example, and swan, and so on and so forth. They also ate rabbits. In fact, it's believed that rabbits were introduced to Britain by the Romans so that they would have them available for food. But their real favourite was dormice. Quite why, I do not know, but the dormouse was a great delicacy for ancient Romans. More of that later. They also ate seafood. They loved octopus, for example, but pretty much anything they could catch in the sea, and shellfish and all that sort of stuff. And it was big industry in Roman towns to make a fermented fish sauce, which I suspect would be quite familiar to anybody who does Thai cooking these days. The Romans used a lot of spices in their cooking. They didn't have chili peppers because those, of course, are from Mexico. So again, you have to wait a few hundred years before they're available. But they used cumin, they used coriander, and they used a lot of pepper, which is very important. Why? Well, there was only one source of pepper in the Roman world, and that was in India. So the fact that the Romans ate a lot of pepper means that there must have been a thriving trade between the Roman Empire and ancient India. I once saw a history documentary in which this poor woman was talking about how in her PhD she had to spend her time going through the sewers of Pompeii and Herculaneum in order to find out what the Romans had been eating. But thanks to the hard work that she did, we now know that they did indeed eat an awful lot of pepper. They ate fruit, of course, and fruit could come from all parts of the empire. Grapes, obviously, were a local favourite, but equally they had access to Egypt, so they would eat a lot of dates. Dates. Fetch me a date, please, Augustus. Good stuff. In terms of drinks, the Romans had an awful lot of wine. Beer was the favoured drink in the Middle East. In Assyria and Babylon and Egypt, they mostly drank beer. But in Greece and Rome, wine was the most popular drink, and the Romans drank an awful lot of it. They even had a god Dionysus devoted to the making of wine. Now, poor Romans, of course, didn't eat anything particularly extravagant because they were poor, but rich Romans had a reputation for extravagant banquets. And we have an example from the time of the Emperor Nero of the sort of thing that they ate. Petronius says, "We were invited to take our seats. Immediately, Egyptian slaves came in and poured ice water over our hands." Good to see the Romans washing their hands there. Good boys. The starters were served. On a large tray stood a donkey made of bronze. On its back were two baskets, one holding green olives and the other black. On either side were dormice, dipped in honey and rolled in poppy seed. Nearby, on a silver grill, piping hot, lay small sausages. As for wine, we were fairly swimming in it. So, rich Romans, yes, they did go a bit overboard on the food. There are even tales that it was the fashion to eat so much that you would be sick and then you would have room for more food. Now, we don't do that sort of thing now. Romans, a bit odd. Maybe it was something to do with the fact that they ate lying down. I don't know. But it's certainly a bit strange. Now, if you want to know more about Roman cooking, we do have one surviving Roman cookbook, a complete one. It's quite extensive. It's by a chap called Apicius, and you can still buy copies of it today, so you can try out some of those Roman recipes. Also, last year, the Ashmolean Museum in Oxford had an exhibition called Daily Life in Pompeii, and I've got a few photos of that I'm going to post on my blog in a little while. In the meantime, it's goodbye from Augustus and I. That's us pretty much done for Italy, and I will see you tomorrow in California. Please do support 125.